we go. We are live. We are live. We are live. Welcome to Gratitude Attitude. It is lovely to see everybody. We had some fabulous we had some fabulous challenges that like to happen when you're doing something new, right? April, these things happen.
Definitely, definitely.
These
It
things happen.
it
These things
it
happen.
it helps us grow.
There you go. It helps us grow. So in this moment, we are grateful that we have more than one streaming account. And we are grateful that we began today with good friends and that this event over the next 5 days is happening with friends and people who believe in gratitude. Because there's something about people who believe in gratitude, they will tend to naturally grant more grace. Because it's very hard to deal with gratitude if you don't have the capacity to grant and gift grace. Just one of those things. So I'm so thrilled to have with me my great friend April. Glad that she is here with me. And I also have somebody else who I will be bringing on shortly, who is hailing from the UK. Because one of the things, if you've watched a few of the ads I've talked about, over the next 5 days, I'm going to be sharing my story and kind of letting everybody know, well, how did I get into this industry, right? How did I end up in what most people know me as the Agile Scrum space? How did that happen? And how did the Brit end up coming here to America? What's the story behind it? Because as with everything, there's a story, right? It's a good story. It's a good story. Sometimes when I tell it, I don't realize, that was me going through all those pieces and walking through all those paths. But I've arrived to this point, to this day, and to this moment. And in this moment right now, we are here giving you our story and our experiences on gratitude. Because we know that gratitude is the attitude you need to give you the latitude to make the key next best move. So, welcome to Facebook, welcome to LinkedIn, welcome to YouTube, possibly welcome to Instagram. We're not sure if the connection stayed there for them or not. If not, we will pop you up on just a single device so that you can be part of this too. April, I'm turning over to you. Please introduce yourself to everybody and tell them why you love gratitude.
Wow. So I'm April. Sometimes I say just April. What I would want to share with people about me is that I love sewing into others, and people have gave me that same gift, and it's an expression of love and gratitude is love. It moves me when others invest time to share their appreciation, to share their respect of thankfulness, as we as a lot of people express thankfulness at this time and season. But for me, it's a practice that is not held for one time a year, but it's a practice that's daily. I would say that in life, there's many surprises. You never know the impact of a chance encounter, which I had with Lizzie. And it's hilarious to look back upon where when we first met, we were passing by, is the way I look at it, where I was anew at a company for a season, and that was her last day there, adding value, doing training, doing her thing. And I met her that one day, and then later on, many years later, we developed a friendship, and I had no idea how that friendship would be so cherished, I would say, for me. And as an empath, I give a lot and so into others. And I would say with Lizzie, it's sharing. That even if it's just a 5-minute call, we are connecting, creating, both walking away filled. And I'm thankful for that. That's a gift.
When I think about April, I always think about her as a master facilitator of spaces. Now, we all, as Agilists, learn techniques of facilitation, and we all kind of have our little bit of our own style when it comes to facilitation. But there is such a richness that she brings, because it's as if, and as she just talked about the fact she's an empath, it's as if she takes the whole room into her own personal space. And they enter into that room, and they enter into an April zone. So it doesn't matter what they've been going through, what they've been feeling in that zone there, they are able to come into her peace, into her spirit. And there's always this sense of just hush that comes into a room whenever she shows up to facilitate. And I have always thought that is so powerful. And I've recognized it as a unique divine gift. And I bring that word divine in and give everybody kind of like you'd say, warning, warning, warning. The next 5 days, we will delve into elements of the divine, sharing our divine experiences and allowing you to understand one thing we've come to understand is gratitude brings with it a spirit. And that spirit becomes something that wraps you so tightly, no matter what it is you're going through or where you are. So whenever you start talking about gratitude, you're going to have to talk about the divine, regardless of what names you aspire or label that feeling, that experience, that connection, that source, that entity with. It is still divine, something bigger than us and outside of ourselves. That when we step into gratitude, we connect to it. And in that moment of connection, it has this ability to bridge you from whatever emotion you're feeling, from whatever state you're in. And even though you're in a particular place at a particular time, gratitude has a way to open a door and pop you somewhere else until you feel enough strength to go back to exactly where you were the moment you tapped into gratitude. And I think that is just like, oh, choir bells kind of thing. And April is attached with that gratitude. And not only is she attached with that gratitude pours out of her to others. So when you come into her space, she's grateful that she's able to serve you. She's grateful that she's able to put her gifts on the table. And in putting her gifts on the table, you're able to feast. And with whatever context it is that you arrive in. And that is such a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful light that you bring. That color of light that you bring to every room, the light of healing and the light of being seen, being respected, and being heard. because in the state of where we are in this world today, that's something everybody is craving, is to be seen, to be respected, and to be heard. And you do it so very well. And I'm so glad that I can call you my friend. So glad. Now, I want to bring on to the stage another counterpart. Because as I told you, I'm going to tell you my story. My story has a pre-America state as well as an America part. So I'm going to bring on stage now a pre-America person who impacted my life in such amazing ways and still impacts my life today, although I don't always get to spend as much time with him as I would like to. So please help me welcome to our Gratitude Attitude stage my great friend Otis Pinnock. Let me bring him on.
Hi.
Hi. So world, LinkedIn, Facebook, April. Let me introduce to you. Here we go. Mr. Otis Pinnock.
Welcome. I'm so excited to see you.
Well, I'm glad to be here. Glad to be here. I'm very, very glad and happy to be part of this event and also to be part of Liz's journey. Even as well, I'll explain in a little bit how long we've known each other, but to be still part of her journey is incredible. So it's great to be part of this Gratitude Attitude event. What an intro. What do I say to that? But yes. So let me just introduce myself. I'm Otis Pinnock. I'm living in Milton Keynes, near Milton Keynes, United Kingdom. It's about 50 miles outside of London. I am a preacher. I'm also a business owner, entrepreneur. And I have known Lizzie, I'd say late 90s. I think it's mid to late 90s. I think that's how long it's been. My God. Probably 25, 26 years.
Ooh, yeah. Oh my gosh, yes.
That's a long time. I think I had hair back then. So, oh man, it's been a long time I've known her, and I've actually watched her grow from a young woman to where she is right now, different stages of her life. And when I did meet her, very young woman at the time, so much potential. But if I'm going to be honest, she didn't quite actually, I like many of us, couldn't actually grasp what her true potential actually was. And I've seen her grow into it as the years and the decades have passed. And, go through good times, hard times, tough times, but at the same time, I've seen how her life has molded. And if I'm going to be honest, I can also see how everything she's been through has led her to this particular point, led us this particular time, and led us this particular moment in times where she is now embarking on this fresh journey. So I'm thankful for her life, thankful for her input, and thankful for being part of her journey thus far. So that's a bit of an introduction of who I am and how I met Lizzie. Is there anything more you want from me?
Well, I'm gonna in a sec give both of you kind of, as I would say, platform time, where I'm going to exit and just be like, let people kind of listen.
Okay.
So that's coming up. But there was something you said that when we met, I hadn't fully grasped my potential. And I thought about that, and I thought about how many people today I meet and how many women I mentor, etc., and who've come into my spaces. And you probably had the same experience, April, when you think we forget that at one point we couldn't grasp our potential. Because sometimes that seems so many years ago, you don't even remember it. all you remember now are the strides, are the moving forward, going forward. That's the only pieces that you remember. You don't remember the rest. And that's so interesting when you think about that, oh my gosh, why don't I remember when I was trying to grasp? Because now I'm doing it, and there's so many people who don't feel they can do it because they're at that point where they haven't yet grasped. What would you say, April, to people who haven't yet grasped and still are doubting if there is anything ahead?
Well, one of the things I would say, Lizzie, that I don't forget my journey because I have so much gratitude for it. For the ones who spoken words of wisdom, as the three of us are sewing in right now. Those were invaluable. And I remember that. And sometimes it's just a moment, just a word that is very impactful and stick with me. And it can, and there's latent learning from those moments. Like you may not understand it at that moment. Which some of the things I heard and what I wanted to speak about is that journey that you mentioned there, is that for our blessing, we may not know the path, and we had to go to the journey to get there. And that's okay. And it's filled with so many learnings. It strengthened us. My journey, I believe, has helped me be the empath that I am today. And yes, some of those things suck. But that's okay. I am stronger for it. And I am able to help others go through. So I am blessed by that. So I would tell people that this is a chapter. The book's not closed yet. And that we'll be surprised that the experiences, the words that were sown into you, the impact, how they are sticky, and how they're actionable for you later on.
Yeah, I love that. That they're sticky. Mm-hmm. I love that. I love that picture that you just created there, April, that they're sticky. Because I'm obviously, as you said, sticky. I'm seeing a Post-it note on a Kanban wall, right? But the fact that it stays there. There's so many times that you'll have Post-it notes that you put up, but they drop, right? And then you got to get tape to like make them stick. But when you said that they're sticky, it's like they're those expensive Post-it notes that they stay there. So that there is a marker to remind you, this is where you've come from. So now this is where you can help. And I think that's one of the key things behind this event is the idea of putting something back into the universe to help. And if I could put anything back, it's not all the experiences I've gone through. It's not even all the lessons that I've learned. It's this thing, gratitude. Because when there's nothing else that you can say and words fail you, gratitude is something that can come up and you can simply say, I'm grateful. just and you can like just sit in that space. And one of the things I've learned is that gratitude is a choice you make. It's not just a thing, it's a choice. You have to choose to be grateful. It doesn't just fall on you like rain. It's a choice. And that choice needs the pause. And everybody always hears me talk about the pause, but the choice demands the pause. If there isn't the pause, you don't get the moment to make that decision for gratitude. So before anything else, it is so important that you take the pause. And on that note, we're going to take a quick break so that we can recalibrate technically. We've got one of our platforms dropped off, and we want to make sure people are able to see us on that platform. So we're going to take a short 10-minute break, ask you to get refreshments, ask you to go ahead and share with people that this is going on so that they can come in and they can join and they can be a part of our gratitude attitude. So we will see you all back in 10 minutes, no longer than that. We're going to be back in 10 minutes. We will see you back as we get all our stuff talking to each other.
We can't hear you, Lizzie.
There we go.
Okay.
And we're saying thank you to StreamYard, because StreamYard, you gave us this fabulous platform and we do appreciate you. So we do want to say thank you to StreamYard for making StreamYard available. So even in the days when we were like, oh my gosh, how are we going to reach the world? How are we going to talk to people? How are we going to let people know that we're here? StreamYard came about along with all the other platforms. And as you can see, we've kind of changed our layout a little bit because we want to make sure that at certain points, we're going to be able to give one person the stage so that they can speak. So with let me give you these 3 pointers, because these 3 pointers just really came up, and I'm going to ask my friends here, April and Otis, to add to them. Right now, here's the 3 points. Point number 1. The way that gratitude becomes an attitude is when it has become a habit for you and no longer a choice. So I say gratitude becomes an attitude when it is no longer choice for you, but it is part of who you are, right? So that's the one point that I would really, really make. What would you add to that?
Do you want to go first, Otis?
Hold on, let's make sure that we can't hear you there, Otis.
Okay.
There we go. There we go. There we go. There we go.
Yes, I said I was going to say ladies first, but if April insists, I'll go. I'll go first. No problem. Okay. I mean, basically, I'm just really going off in terms of what you've just said in terms of gratitude and how it becomes an attitude. It is a process. It is a process. If I can speak about life's journeys, I don't think being thankful or having a gratitude attitude comes normal to people. Okay, if you ever look at our society in general, generally people moan and complain and display a lot of negativity, etc., etc. So I would say, in a sense, that having a gratitude attitude or having or being thankful in that particular sense is something that's learned. It's something that is learned, and for me, it is a process. And when do you know that you've arrived there? It's when you know it's when being grateful or being thankful has become a part of who you are, regardless of the situation or regardless of what life is thrown at you. You literally become it. Should I say? Should I say you literally become a person that exudes gratitude, that exudes thankfulness, and not only that, but also benefits from the benefits that come from having such an attitude, should I say. So I almost got my words mixed up right there, but I think you get the gist in terms of what I do mean. It's something that you become, and I can only speak from my life. You know, the older I'm getting, etc., the more thankful, the more grateful I am for even the most simplest things in life. So yeah, I do feel that is something you become after a process of time, and it is a learned behavior, should I say, or a learned attitude. So that's my 2 pennies worth, as they say in the United Kingdom.
For me, I definitely agree with Otis. Gratitude is learned, and it starts very young. And you can unlearn if you didn't grow up in an environment where there was much gratitude displayed, where it wasn't something that was a part of that dynamic. Gratitude can be learned because, yes, it is something that you learn, and you can learn it at any time in your life. It's a practice. So it's a something that's learned is a practice. By participating in it actively, you grow your ability to find thankfulness in so many things. And it's expressed in a multitude of ways. So, and maybe we'll share a little bit more about that when we talk a little bit more of those ways.
Talk about that. As you talked about those ways, talk to the audience about those ways.
Well, your expression of gratitude may not just be verbally, right? People express gratitude in action by their behaviors. That can be, I've experienced people sharing with me gratitude through a hug, right? They may use words. I would say that we're a global audience right now, global citizens. I've been in countries where I don't speak their language, but they express gratitude, right? You see it on their face. You may not have to see words. Gratitude can be seen and not heard, right? Sometimes it's vocal. It may be in a different way. Sometimes it's through an expression. Some people, when they even have nothing, they'll give something out of gratitude, right? And whatever it is. And I don't know. Do you have anything to add, Otis?
No, I think you're doing a great job so far.
Yeah.
The truth is, I think if we have a look at the human condition, across the earth, and there's some that you did say in terms of how the ways in terms of gratitude is expressed, in one's life, and I think it's something that is truly universal to every single culture, every single country, every single society. And I think it leads on to better human relations, if that's making sense. Even if it's just in a intimate sense or a familial sense or society sense, it really does open the door for greater sense of community, should I say, when people or individuals have a gratitude attitude. It opens us up to so much more in terms of connecting with one another, but also, as Lizzie said right at the beginning of the segment, connecting with the divine also. It really opens us up to the better parts of the human experience, I would say.
Yeah, when you think about divine, one of the things I think about is like the story of the prodigal son, for people who don't know, right? The father, he was so thankful when his son returned. No matter what they've done in the past, it's like there was a celebration, right? And so much thankfulness that he had. And that tells you someone else is that even in like when things are wonderful, you can find joy and gifts at the end of it, right? Beautiful.
Great. Agreed. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's easy to go from being thankful to being grateful when you've had something. So somebody's giving you a gift and you're like, oh, thank you. Oh, and you're like, oh God, I wanted this so much. Oh, I'm so grateful that they did this for me. That transition's easy. But it's the transition of going into gratitude when you don't have anything. And that's the part where you are pulling into the divine. So if we were going to talk about gratitude growing, and we call it a skill set, right? Let's put that context around it. Gratitude being a skill set. Then in order for this skill to become mature and for you to become proficient at it, you've got to get to where you have to pull gratitude from nothing. Versus, oh, look what I've given you. And I know you said you wanted that. And I went out of my way to give that to you. But now when there is nothing in your hands, being grateful anyway. That's where I believe gratitude steps into faith. And so I think it's almost impossible. This is very much a Lizzie opinion, so let me just state that, okay, for the nut gallery. I very much think faith comes into play when you are reaching for gratitude, when you have nothing to touch. Right? So if there was something I was going to say about the next level of gratitude, is having gratitude when there is nothing there. So yeah, you've got it to be the idea of this is a practice, right? And you've got to, thankfulness leads you there. But now let's mature you and take you to the next level when you have nothing to be thankful for, because thank you is an exchange, right? You've given me something, thank you. But when you have nothing to be thankful for, to be able then to transition yourself into gratitude. So that second point would be taking gratitude now when there's nothing there, and then linking yourself to the divine so you can be grateful in the midst of an empty space. What would you add to that, Otis? Being grateful in the midst of an empty space.
Well, the question is, and I understand what you're saying in terms of being grateful in an empty space. I think if I'm looking from my particular journey so far in life, and I would say this is a critique, I would say, for those of us that live in the West, where so many things come so easily. We raised in the West, you might not necessarily have this sense of gratitude because so many things come so easy, So, when there is nothing, where is an empty space, where do you derive gratefulness or thankfulness from when there's nothing to show for it in the natural? I think I think I do agree with you, Lizzie, that's the time where you are leaning, should I say, into the divine. And what I mean by that, you become thankful for the breath that you're breathing, thankful for the smells that you're smelling, thankful for life, and even in its most simplest terms, thankful for and grateful for health. Because when you begin to understand who the source of life is, it is easier to become grateful and thankful, or to develop a gratitude attitude, as we've been talking about today, when we understand who the source actually is and who the giver actually is. Mm-hmm. So in that sense, when there is nothing there, you have to lean on the divine, knowing but he's the one that's not only birthed you, he's the one that's not only kept you, but he's the one that is sustaining you, if that's making sense. And not only that, but also having, not only being thankful for the past or being thankful for the present, but when you do get to know him and his ways, you're also thankful for the future. You're thankful that he has made provision for you in the future, even though you don't see it yet, even though you're in an empty space looking with your natural eyes, as it were, you are very, very much thankful um, to him, because you know he has you,
Mm.
has your back, and he also has a part to play in your future.
Amen.
I love that. I love that. Tag, April.
I didn't know. Did you have anything? Were you gonna preach some more, Otis?
He's got like a 15-minute set where we're gonna like let him run loose. He's gonna get a chance to just run loose, right? He'll get a chance to run loose. But a whole topic, right? And we're gonna just be like, go for gusto, right?
Yeah.
But I gotta keep quiet because he tipped into where my next point was. What does that come up for you, April?
For me, I question everything. I question assumptions, things that we just think must be true. And I don't know if you need to receive something to have gratitude. I question that. Being someone who has been poor, who couldn't afford the OR and other different things, is that I still had gratitude.
Absolutely.
You learn to start seeing it in other places. And this is where the empathy comes in. It's like, hey, maybe a kind word. Wow, thank you. I needed that. It's a hard day, right? So it's like, even just Misty thinking about like, ooh, when someone gave me a kind word, that's all I needed to lift me up. They didn't have to. Maybe I saw a flower. I see the sun, right? Whoo, thank you. It's like, you may not need to receive someone for somebody else, because as we were talking about God, he has provided other things, that it may not need. Gratitude is not reserved for another person, right? There's like, oh, you know what? We have bees, we got food because they pollinate and do other different things. Thank you. Great. We have water that I can get to. It's not about stuff. So I just question. It's not about, or maybe I'm just still here. I'm on the right side of the ground today. I'm not underneath. I'm above the ground. I'm thankful. And that could be enough. And I respect that for whatever someone is. And for me, when it comes to gratitude, is just take a moment. Why it's a practice and something that's I've learned, and something that we do in the Agile community often is retrospect, right? That concept of retrospecting, or someone want to say meditating, or whatever it is to do for you to reflect and consider, right? Like, you may need to dig deeper when you think, oh, I have nothing, right? Woe is me. Get beyond the woe and take outside of yourself, right? Having that practice to be thankful, right? When you may think you have nothing, because you actually have something.
Mm-hmm.
It may not be what others may have, but you still have something.
I like that. So it's, if you're listening and to what we've been saying, we're wanting you to go from the stuff that you always can physically see, the kind of what we call baby gratitude, right? That the beginning stages of acknowledging what somebody has done for you, then taking you onto the next level of being grateful when there's nothing there. But if you're finding it hard to be grateful when there's nothing there, what is so wonderful, what April has just said to you, is, well, pause and look around you, because you're not ready to go to be grateful when there's nothing there. So let me show you that there's stuff here all the time. Let's go outside of stuff to what is. Look at the nature. Look at the fact. I love the way you said it. You're on the upside, right, of the earth base versus being underneath it. You look outside yourself. You can see the very simple things that there's gratitude to be had for that. So even if there was not a person involved in here, look at what I've given you. You still can't get to the space yet where I can be grateful for nothing in the nothingness. Well, let me show you there is something that's always around you. It's like the idea that we say even in silence there are atoms, because they're still around us, although we don't physically see them. So there is that piece in between. Look to what you can see when you can't look to what is unseen. Let me say that again. Look to what you can see when you can't look to what's unseen. So you can see the fact your hands move. You can see the fact that when you exhale, there's breath. You can see the fact that there is still a sky above you. You can see the fact that you're still walking, and you can see the fact that you can go to the store, see the fact you can pick up your phone and you can order. You can see all these facts. So you can then attach gratitude to the facts to mature you to the place where now I can get to the place where I can see the things I wouldn't normally notice. So I'm going to be grateful for those. So now when things get tough, let me be grateful for what I don't see yet. Because there is a pattern to let you know there will be something that you're going to see. Just as seasons change, there's snow, but then there's no snow. There's rain, then there's no rain. Then there's sun, then there's wind. You don't often see them coming, but you know they're going to come. You know that season is going to approach because you've learned the pattern. And I found for myself that when I held to the gratitude that birthed this idea, the idea of doing this event, was I was in a moment, and I remember it really, really well, right? I was going into the fridge in my house, and I was getting ready to open the fridge, and I leaned in a really dodgy way, and I broke a nail. And when I broke the nail, I was just absolutely I was gone. I was done. And I know a lot of people listening are like, what's a nail? Really big deal. Go to the nail store. Go get your nails done. What are you fussing about a nail? But let me explain to you why I was fussing about a nail. I was fussing about a nail because in that moment in time, circumstances had brought me to a place where I didn't have the ability to pay for having my nails fixed. And when I was in that moment, looking at everything I'd achieved in my life, everything I'd ever gone through, everything I'd ever possessed, everything I'd lost, everything I've had, everything I've rebuilt, there was such shame. And that was something I had never experienced before. I'd never experienced shame. I'd experienced guilt. I'd experienced depression, but I never experienced shame. And shame was so much heavier than anything else I'd ever experienced before. It came with such a dense weight. So it felt like the whole world was sitting on top of me and I couldn't breathe. And in that moment, the shame was so loud that it had an echo and a reverb at the same time. And in that moment, I wanted everything to end because I couldn't see forward. I couldn't see past this. I couldn't see how I was going to figure this out. I couldn't see how I could change it. I was so used to being able to change things fast, to use my skill set, to use what I do, and just flip it. We can change the situation. But in that moment, I had no power to change anything. And that was the moment I reached to the divine. In that moment, because I went from standing holding the fridge to being on the floor, because I was overcome by this shame. And then when I reached for the divine, and the reach wasn't like I'm reaching out my hand and whatever, it was a reach from the inside of me of, I don't know how to deal with this, and I don't have an answer. It's out of my control. My phone had gone across the floor. And so I reached for my phone, and for whatever reason, When I reached for my phone, it came up on a Facebook Messenger chat that was 2 years old. 2 years old, right? From a friend of mine in Canada, 2 years old. I'd never seen it, but it came in that moment on the phone. And there was a lady on the phone, and this lady has gone on to the other side now. I believe her name is, I want to say her name is Denise. Please, if I'm saying it, that is not the woman's name, forgive me, but her last name is Pace. And there's Denise Pace, yes, and they're sisters. And she was walking into her room, walking into the front door. And at the time, she was extremely ill. But she walked in saying, I'll always be thankful. I'll always be grateful. And when she said grateful, I was like, okay, I'm going to, in this moment, I paused and I said, God, I'm going to be grateful anyway. And that's literally what I said. God, I'm going to be grateful anyway, because my circumstance was not giving me advertising for gratefulness. It was giving me advertising for a lot of other emotions, but it definitely wasn't gratitude. Not in that moment, not under that shame, but I'll always be. That took me to a place of, okay, if I'll always be, there's got to be something that I can put into place that can always be here. And gratitude was that thing that I could choose to be in that moment. And my choice, I always know my choice is always there. I've always got choice. Choice is always with me. I'm very cognizant of that. But now I'm going to utilize my choice to be grateful. And so I played the song for the next probably 45 minutes. And it was, it was like a short Instagram or YouTube, something that somebody had clipped, and it played over and 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 over again. And the whole time, no, I had not yet stood back up. So I went from standing at the fridge to falling to the floor to crawling to my phone, still yet not standing. But even while I still was not yet standing, I had made a choice. And my choice was to be grateful. Even though my next moment wasn't standing, I still wasn't up. No circumstance had shifted. But by the time I'd listened to it, oh, God knows, I don't know what time, because I just kept putting the thing on repeat. I got to the point where I was able to stand, and I physically stood up, walked into my bedroom, and I put my hand on the door, and I remember this, and I said, God, I'm going to be grateful no matter what. And it was after that, it came back to me to start speaking again, to start doing affirmations again, and to start putting the language in those affirmations of always. Because I'll always be grateful. So what else will I always be? What do I need to have an always on? And realizing there was something in that always that was so powerful, because always said I could go past facts and I could deem a new future. I could begin to craft something else. I could find my next best move, because I found the key to the next best move being always grateful. So when I talk about the fact of being grateful when there's nothing there, it's because I've learned to experience this. Oh, this is a faith has come into play here. I wasn't expecting faith to come into play right in this moment, but my choice opened a doorway for me to activate my faith to bring me into a always moment and then make an always choice. So now I'll always be grateful. And as a result, this event that we're having here will always happen every year, the week before Thanksgiving. Because I made a choice to always be grateful, not about an event, not about a situation, not about a tradition, but about a choice. And the key to being able to have gratitude when there's nothing there is choice. Choice is the power key to get you to gratitude when there's nothing there.
Now, can I ask you one thing, Lizzie?
Yes, go ahead.
Could you sing it one more time, sis?
I'll always be grateful. I'll always be grateful. I'll always be grateful. I'll always be grateful. And that's my thing. It's like, you know, this one, it's my thing. There was a song I wrote back in I think it was 2017. I think I wrote a song in 2017. And the song said, if I only had 3 words, it would be, Lord, I thank you. Right? And I loved that song. I absolutely love the song. I never released it or anything. It's still sitting in the studio somewhere, but I really, really love that song, right? And we had strings and all the rest of stuff put to it. It was beautiful. But today, this morning, when I got up, I remembered that song. And I said, if I only had 3 words, it would be, Lord, I thank you. And then I thought, okay, well, what if I only had 1 word? And then I read my 1 word would be grateful. And so now when I eventually get back into the studio, I'm going to revamp that song and put grateful and take it from if I only have 3 words, if I only have 2 words, and then if I've only got 1 word, my 1 word will be grateful. Because grateful now for me says the ability to move from here to there. Even though I've got a past, I've got another move available to me if I step with gratitude. And that for me is just like, you know, which is why I want to, it's important for me to share that with the world. And the wonderful thing with the internet and technology we have today, right, is we don't going to have to go rent a big, huge room or a big, huge stadium and all the rest of it. We can send this message out to people and it can be there forever. People can come back and watch it and they can come back and hear it. And it's there forever to remind people your choice is the key. You know, use it to rescue yourself. Even when you can't see a way out, choose. And I encourage everybody in the world, choose gratitude. So, Otis.
Yes, Lizzie.
I'm going to step back, and April and I are going to give you the platform so that you can share what has been placed in your heart by the divine to share with us about this journey of gratitude and what we can take away with it. So, world, let me introduce to you again my great friend, a mentor of mine. He has been a mentor on some things that some things blew my mind. Some things just an amazing, very, very humble man, but yet a giant in the divine in so many amazing ways. And I am so grateful that he gifted me his time to share his gift with you. And he does have a gift, and I'm just going to ask him to, the world that we live in today gives us the latitude, right, and space to be ourselves. Please be you to the utmost. Be
Okay, you asked for it.
I did ask for it. I wrote it. Everybody heard me. I said, be you to the utmost.
I'll be me.
Yes, to the utmost, because I believe that there are people who are going to hear this, who need to hear this. And I always say, it's not about us to know who the person is. It's just about us to deliver the message. And we deliver the message and we did it, right? And it's there for people to pick it up. Mm-hmm. So thank you for being here. Please take the stage, and we will be in the back supporting and cheering you on.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. I'm praying that what I've got to share here today will be a blessing to you. and add a different component to your life. This event is amazing. We've had a great discussion with Lizzie and of April. That's been great so far. And all that's been said is going to actually feed into what I'll be talking about today. And that's basically gratitude in the midst of a storm. I think that's a little bit in terms of what Lizzie was just talking about right now, but gratitude in the midst of a storm. So basically, before I get started and getting into the nuts and bolts of what I've got to say in the next 10 to 15 minutes, it's just basically just give a definition of the word gratitude, which literally is the state of being grateful, the state of being thankful, and it's also the state or quality of being grateful or thankful. Then when we're talking about the word attitude, we're talking about a manner of thinking or feeling or behavior that reflects a state of mind or disposition. So if we're talking about a gratitude attitude, we're talking about having a state of gratefulness or a state of thankfulness, but also having an attitude with it that really is a manner of thinking, feeling, or behavior. We talked about it. All of us have touched on it during this particular show that reflects a state of mind or disposition. So initially, I wanted to talk a little bit about the gratitude attitude, but I also want to talk to you about maintaining that within a storm. So I'm going to open up a little bit and talk to you a little bit about a storm that I experienced a very not a very long time ago, but one of the most telling moments in my life, going through a major storm, a life-changing storm, a life-altering storm, should I say. And that took place in 2013. 2013, I hit one of the major crises in my life. And it's through that particular crisis that this message has come out of, to be quite honest with you, learning how to be grateful, learning how to be thankful. So my life is going pretty well. I'm doing okay. My career is going fantastic. My life is going through a good trajectory, should I say. I have churches, I have businesses, everything's going well. And then in about 1 month, all of those things get shut down. I hit a crisis that not only affects our churches at the time, not only affects my businesses, but also affected my family also, and my ability, should I say, to provide for my family, etc., etc., etc. It was one major storm, and I remember going through it. I was filled up with so many different emotions. So many things were happening to me in the area of business, and if you've been in the area of business, you understand about corporatism. You understand in terms of what goes on in the corporate world, etc., etc. A lot of things were taking place. Betrayal, being misused, it was absolutely crazy. So in the midst of the storm, there was a lot of emotions that I was going through. Anger, offense. I'd even dare say, to a degree, it was very depressing. And I remember every time I really wanted to fight my way out of it, use the skill set I had to get myself out, strategize myself out. Nothing was working. It was absolutely tough, absolutely so hard. And that particular storm was so tough. I'm even just thinking about it, even relating to you. And not only that, not only was there the loss of business, the loss of enterprise, and the fact that your dreams were actually hitting the ground and being destroyed before your very face. There was also the familial aspect of it, family betrayal. A lot went on, and I must admit, it brought up a lot of negative emotions. And I'm going to be quite honest with you. I think the chiefest of the emotions was anger. I was very angry at life, angry with God, angry with people, angry to a degree to where I actually was. So soon after that, I'm paraphrasing about 6, 7 months in about 5 to 10 minutes. Soon after that, I literally had to start life all over again. My means of making money had gone. My monthly wages were taken away from me, and I had to literally start life again. And I do remember, as I said to you before, I was very offended, very angry, very upset that I had to go through all of this all over again in life. I'm in my 40s. My goodness, why am I going through all of this? And you're going to hear this. There was no gratitude. There was no gratitude attitude whatsoever. I was filled with so many negative emotions. So why am I sharing all of this in terms of maintaining a gratitude attitude in the midst of a storm? The reason why I'm sharing with you is because since that time, I've had other storms. And I can see the difference between handling these other storms than when I handled this initial storm that I went through in my life. And the truth of the matter is, if you're going to remain on the planet Earth for any moment in time, you are going to encounter some rough seas. You're going to encounter some rough times. It's just going to come. It's the way of the fallen world. But here's the truth. How does it affect you? And the truth of the matter is, you have a choice. You have a choice that determines how the storm actually affects you. You do have a choice. When I went through that storm initially, I didn't think I had a choice. I thought I had every right to be upset. I had every right to be offended. I had every right to harbor negative emotions and negative, or should I say, feelings towards those that had harmed me and betrayed me and caused all of these things. And the truth of the matter is, it took me a number of years to recover, to work through those emotions, to work through, and not only that, but also to contemplate what in the world happened. Why did it happen? All of these things. It took a number of years to work this stuff out. So what were the lessons that I learned, and how does it relate to having a gratitude attitude? Well, you know, once you hit rock bottom in life, once you hit rock bottom, the only way is up. Once you hit that dirt floor called the bottom, I don't know how many of you can relate to me. The only way is up. Once you go so low, the only way is up. So as I was beginning to work through those emotions, those negative emotions, and the negativity in terms of what happened was that I was being led to the road of recovery, of recovery. So what did I learn in the storm? Number one, I learned what I was truly capable of. You know, sometimes when stuff is taken away from you, you are left with the raw material called you. And so many times in life, sometimes, and it happened to me, sometimes your potential has to be forced out of you in certain terrible circumstances. It has to be forced out of you. I'm reminded of a story in the Bible of a man called Samson, who was anointed even as a child. Anointed from God. And we know Samson was the big, strong one. But did you know something? That what caused that strength, what caused his potential to rise up in his life wasn't a lovely circumstance. It didn't happen nicely. He went and married a Philistine woman, and there was all kinds of different circumstances that provoked the greatness out of him, as it were, provoked what he was truly capable of. And that's something that I had to learn. I had to learn what I was truly capable of. I had this dependency on others, and God was trying to teach me that, you know, I've placed certain things in you, and you have an ability to do certain things for yourself. So, cutting a long story short, I started the road of recovery. And that wasn't easy. I mean, my goodness, if I can tell you the paltry earnings I earned in that first year, you would laugh. How did you survive on that? And there's a reason why I'm sharing this story, because because now when I'm facing my storms now, when I face my storms, I have a reference point. I have a reference point that said, listen, I went back down to zero in life. I was doing well and I went down to zero. But through your grace and through your kindness, and despite my negativity and despite my negative response to this all, you've been faithful to me and you've led me onto a road of recovery. So every single year that proceeded since that time, and this happened in 2013, I've actually grown. The businesses have grown. I've begun to realize what I am truly capable of becoming. All right. So now when I am facing storms right now, one of the things I'm thankful for is where he's brought me from. One of the things I'm thankful for, it's going to sound strange, I'm actually thankful for the storm. I'm actually just thankful for the thing that caused me so much pain. I'm actually thankful for that, because if I hadn't gone through that, I would never have discovered what my true potential is and the road that I'm working on right now. If I hadn't gone through that storm, I'd never be the leader that I am right now. I don't think I'd have the empathy that I have right now for people who are going through similar things that I went through. I am thankful and grateful. I have a gratitude attitude, as it were. And, you know, as Lizzie was saying earlier today, it opens you up to the divine. It opens you up to faith. It opens you up to another perspective. You see, when I went through that storm in life, what I didn't see the storm with the right perspective. I was a victim. I didn't see the storm with the right perspective. Now, when I'm facing life now, oh my goodness, I see any storm with the right perspective. You say, how? Because being thankful enables me to remain calm in the midst of a storm. Being thankful and knowing where God has brought me from to where I am right now makes me confident in facing any future storm. In other words, what I'm trying to say to you is that prior to all my storm, to that major storm, there were certain things I feared. You would fear if your business decisions caused you to be bankrupt. You would fear if business decisions caused you to experience hardship for you and your family. I hope you're catching what I'm saying here today. But now when I look at a storm, I have no fear. You say, why? Because if the God that brought me up from nothing, I have absolutely no fear, because I know what I'm truly capable of. I know how to use certain resources to make certain things happen. And these were lessons I would never have learned if I hadn't gone through the storm in the first place. So I'm not saying, in a sense, are you happy about it? Of course, it was a very, very painful and traumatic part of my life. But I am also thankful very much and grateful for the lessons learned in the midst of the storms. And I tell you what, that lesson, the reason why I refer to that storm is because that particular storm has allowed me to learn the lessons and acquire the skill sets to navigate all the other storms that have come since that time, since 10 years. I've learned how to navigate storms. Now I know the storm, I'm not looking at the winds and the waves. I'm not looking at all of that. I'm looking at the right perspective. What lesson do I need to learn through all of this? What lesson do I need to learn? What new thinking do I need to bring to the table? What new skill do I need to bring to the table? What direction am I being led into? Where is this storm bringing me? I hope I'm helping you here today, and I hope what I'm saying here today is resonating with you right now. We all have a purpose. We all have a destiny. We all have a future but the Lord is guiding us to, or the divine is guiding us to. And no matter what happens, a storm to a degree can be the very thing that positions you to where that future or where that purpose actually is. And you may say, oh my God, it's so painful, it's tough, it's hard. No, there are lessons that you can learn in the midst of the storm that can lead you to your destiny. So how do I maintain a gratitude attitude in the midst of the storm? It is literally by being thankful for the lessons I have learned on my journey. So many times we get caught up in what's going on in the current circumstance, when really and truly, take a look back. Take a look back at your life. Go back into your childhood. Go back and you'll begin to see so many things that you can be thankful for. So many small little things, insignificant things that you can be thankful for. Boy, I tell you, when storms come down, I'm like, okay, what lesson do I have to learn? I know I've lived through this. I know I will survive this. And I know that I will learn new lessons, new levels, new skills to take me to where I want to go. And I tell you what, maintaining a sense of gratitude and gratitude and thankfulness, let me tell you, last thing that it does, it will also keep away the negative emotions that can skewer what you see and skewer your perception. It opens you up to a peace. It opens you up to a knowing that the divine has your back. God has your back, and I'm on my way to where I've got to get to. It opens you up to knowing that there is provision. I might not be able to see it, but there's provision for me. It opens you up to knowing that the steps of a righteous man or woman are ordered of the Lord, regardless of the circumstances that they are facing. So, in closing, maintaining a gratitude attitude in the midst of a storm is so important, because again, it gives you perspective. It opens you up to peace. It opens you up to and maintains a resource state of mind, which is so important. You see, when you're angry, you're not in a resource state of mind at all. Not when you're angry. When you're so emotional, you're not in a resource state of mind. But when you are grateful, when you are thankful, peace comes. When you are grateful, when you are thankful, you're in a resource state of mind, so you can begin to think things through and see your storm for exactly what it is. I think I'll close there, Lizzie. I hope the audience have enjoyed this little snippet of gratitude attitude. Well, I pray it's been a blessing to you.
Yeah, you said some you you said some gems. As the clubhouse people would say, just dropping gems. But when you talked about keeping away the negative, and all I could think about was like a screen when you're driving. And, you're trying to drive, and you're trying to stay away from it, and the weather's really bad, and mud's everywhere, and you're trying, but you still can't see because the windscreen is totally mired. And when you said that, that was the visual that came to me. But gratitude can be like a shield on that windscreen. So it comes, it don't stick. So you can still see your way through and still be able to say, okay, no, I can still see the road. Yeah, I can see the road. And that will stay with me. That was awesome. That was just amazing. I'm going to bring in April. We're going to both come off, and we're going to let you tie us up in a pretty April bow. Like, only you can. And then we will come on and get ready to wrap up after you.
video is behaving weird. So maybe it'll come back into focus soon. I have no idea why that's doing that. However, that's okay, right? We will figure it out. I'm going to take a moment and stop my camera and then turn it back on and see if that can fix the issue. No, are you seeing it, Lizzie? Behave oddly? Okay. Well, Otis gave us a lot of amazing information. And I don't want to be the one to repeat what he says, but maybe give you something to make it practical and help you unpack all the learnings he bestowed upon you. And to bring in another song is that if I looked back over my life, right? And that's what I'm going to invite you all to do, is to look over your life. When consider the fact that when you are grateful, it is like what? When you are grateful, it is like what? What metaphor comes to mind? For me, I think about the water, being at peace, relieved. Discover what it is for you when you're grateful. What is it like? Take a moment to think about when you're grateful. What are you feeling? What are you thinking? What are you saying? What are you doing? Maybe what are you hearing? When you're grateful. Take a moment to reflect on what you sense about yourself when you are in a state of gratefulness. Then, from that, take a moment to consider if you're not in a state of gratefulness, what do you need to let go to be grateful? What needs to be true for you to be grateful? And work on to make those things true. Because I do believe that when you're grateful, you are also blessing yourself. As Otis articulated, that you truly can control a couple things in life. He didn't say it this way, but you can control what you think, what you feel, and the things that you can do. If you can't control anything else, you can control your own feelings and behaviors. So you can learn how to be grateful and to practice it. And a part of that practice, you're able to learn to see it, to see other areas on where you might be grateful. as we talked about earlier, when it seems like you have nothing, there's still something there if you choose to walk in gratefulness. And I hope you look at what I just shared with you as an exercise that you can practice to grow that, where it's a habit. It becomes a part of who you are, where you don't have to think about being grateful, where it's just something that is what you do, a part of who you are. More often than not, where you make that switch. So I'm going to leave that with you, and I'm excited to hear how you play in gratefulness. Let me know. That's it. Back to you, Lizzie.
How you play with gratefulness. Only April. Only April. How you play with gratefulness. I love that. I love that play. Don't take it that it's going to be a chore. Don't be frightened of it. But let's take the fear away from doing this thing called gratitude and play with it. Have fun with it. Allow yourself to be childlike with gratitude as you're learning about it and exploring it in a different way. I love that. I love see April, this some stuff. It's just April. April's gonna come with it. April's gonna come with it on that. I want to give everybody a moment as you're watching this to think of 2 things that you're grateful for. 2 things, just 2, not 3. I normally do 3s, but just 2. 2 things that you're grateful for. I'm going to just give you a moment to think about those 2 things that you're grateful for. Just 2. Two things.
Lizzie, I have way more than 2.
Or external. 2 things.
How many are you at?
Put pressure on that. We are grateful and thankful that you were able to take time and listen to us talk about gratitude. We are grateful and thankful that you now have the seed of the thoughts of gratitude. We are now grateful that no matter where you are in life, no matter what you're doing, no matter what you're going through, gratitude will become an option for you in any moment and in any place you are. And we are grateful that gratitude now becomes part of your attitude. As you begin this journey to let gratitude become a part of who you are, no matter where you are, and no matter whose you are at the time, gratitude will still be a part of who you are. I'm going to bring Otis to the stage.
Hey, Otis.
I took a note out of your book, April.
Excellent.
April told me to don't forget, make sure you've got a music list. You've got to have a music list. Make sure you got a music list. I'm like, okay, I'm going to remember music. I have a music list. It's like, okay. So, what would you say, Otis, in closing? If there's 2 words that you can give people in closing, what would those 2 words be?
2 words. 2 words. Are you talking about being grateful? Just 2 words in general. In closing.
2 words.
2 words. I would say. Let me just think. Let me just spend a moment just thinking about that. In terms of what I would say, I'm trying to be very careful with the words that I actually say. I would simply say, be open. Be open. Be open. You said 2 words. I don't want to say too much more. Yeah, be open to to where you are, to be cognizant of where you are in terms of what you're feeling and what you're going through, but also be open to being grateful and being thankful and being open to the benefits that come from having a gratitude attitude.
How about for you, April? 2 words? What 2 words?
Sure. I was just laughing. You asked the minister to say 2 words.
You said 2 words.
2 words.
2 words plus 10. I cheated.
He said it's 2. The 2 words were be open. Those were the 2 words. Be open. What are your 2 words, April?
Love. Love.
It's 1 word. Okay, so you're doing twice as much in half the time. Which is
so
you
much
got
you
2
can
words.
unpack when you love.
Yeah, but you've got 2 words.
Love.
Okay. All right, I'm going to take one of your words then.
You can.
Okay, so then I got 3.
You got it. You can take it.
So then we
Since you didn't accept it, I say love and love.
so we got be open and love making the next move.
Oh. Okay.
Okay? Be
Well, watch
open,
out.
love making the next move. Because you have a next move. And we believe you'll be able to make it. And we would love to help you make it in any way, shape, or form that we can. So please follow the speakers that are here. You can find Otis on Facebook, Otis Pinnock. You can find him on Facebook. April, you can find her Soul's Craftswoman. I'm going to let them tell you exactly where you can find them and their websites and everything. So, Otis, tell people where they can find you.
Okay, you can find me on Facebook on Author OP. All right, you can find me on Twitter, Otis Pinnock International, INTL. And you can find me on Instagram, Otis_Pinnock.
Wonderful. And April, where can people find you?
On all my social media, LinkedIn, Twitter.
And tell them what they can find you
Facebook.
under. Your
YouTube.
banner.
Soul Craftswoman. Website, Soul Craftswoman. Not man. I'm a woman, but Soul Craftswoman. Just let you know.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful.
Yeah, April Jefferson.
Awesome. I want to say thank you again so much for giving me the gift of your time and the gift of your experiences and your life and your energy, the energy that you both brought to my stage to open up gratitude attitude event. Yes. Yay. We broke through the barrier. We did it. Yes,
thank you for inviting me, Lizzie.
Thank you. Thank you again.
We did it. So thank you so much. We will see you again tomorrow. And I'll have different guests with me tomorrow, unless April decides to kind of come back in at the end. But we will have some other people who you will meet, who are other friends of mine, sharing their stories and their journeys on gratitude. Please remember, Gratitude is only a choice away.
Mm.
Doesn't cost you anything but your choice.
Wow.
And once you have it, it is so precious. So very, very precious. So thank you again. Look forward to seeing you tomorrow at 4:30 Central. And we will be here again 4:30 p.m. Central to 6:30 p.m. Central, ready to answer questions or comments. So if today you watched it later and you're like, oh, I would love to ask this, write them down, send the comments, etc. And we will answer them. We will be here Monday through to Friday. So we're doing this for 5 days. We are seeding gratitude into the universe because we believe it's a necessary thing that the people are going to need as our world keeps spinning and transitioning through change. Gratitude is something that makes a difference. Thank you again for being with us. Thank you again, my fabulous, fabulous, fabulous guests. And we will say, see you tomorrow because we are grateful for you.